Welcome back. On Viewpoint today, we explore the diplomatic significance of the summit between President Yoon Suk-yeol and his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden here in South Korea this past Saturday. For more, I have Doctor Woo Jung-yeop from the Sejong Institute. Dr. Woo, it's been a while. Welcome back.
It's my pleasure.
I also have Dr. Du-hyeogn at the Asan Institute for Policy Studies live on the line. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Cha.
I think I can give an A grade.
Right.
Yeah.
I will actually come back to you then for your thoughts in a little while, Dr. Cha. We'll start here in the studio and then perhaps ask you about your grade for the latest summit, right, Dr. Cha?
Yeah.
Right. Give us a minute, though, then. Right.
When I say the achievement of all talks can be divided in two categories, real, meaning specific policies, and symbol, meaning potential for future development. If both of them were fulfilled, we can call that grade A. If either symbol or substance were met, B to C would have been, while neither of them achieved, but the atmosphere of talks was not so bad, D would have been considered. But if even the atmosphere was bad, it would have been F. In this summit, both Korea and the United States got what they wanted, both symbol and substantive. In particular, it is important for the Korea to draw the principle of responding to nuclear threat by nuclear from the United States, which, unlike in the past, is able to deter North Korea from using the full range of United States defense capabilities, including nuclear, conventional, and the missile defense capabilities.
Right, I see. Well, Dr. Cha is going to give the summit an A as a grade. What would you grant this particular summit between you and Biden? Grade terms. How do you assess the latest summit?
Since the summit this time took place just 11 days after that President Yoon Suk-yeol inaugurated. So I think the first important matter for two leaders is to get to know each other much better, because President Yoon was new to the politics and new to the international arena. So I think that two leaders spent many times during Mr. Biden's visit this time to share their views on the international relations and the values such as liberal democracies. So I think two leaders spend time to get to know each other much better, and then both leaders share their views on how to develop the alliance. So I think I can give you a very nice grade for them to have summit this time.
Right, that is good to know. Doctor, do you suppose this first encounter then between Presidents Yoon and Biden perhaps set a promising tone for their future collaboration on a host of bilateral issues, of course, that move beyond semiconductors and security to space exploration and nuclear energy, which is something that my colleague Han Sung-woo touched upon earlier?
So there are three areas that was mainly mentioned in the joint statement this time, and the two presidents emphasized the areas of collaboration. It's not just about the security of the Korean Peninsula and the economic security, but also how two countries are going to collaborate and cooperate in the areas of the regional issues, also the future issues, including two countries can work together on nuclear reactor and the export of the nuclear reactor, and the space issues, and also the COVID responses. So there are a bunch of areas that were touched upon by two leaders to enhance the collaboration between two countries.
Right. And Dr. Cha, during the joint press conference following the summit, of course, Mr. Biden claimed that a meeting with North Korea's Kim Jong-un would depend on whether Kim was sincere and serious. Now, that being said, what do you believe are the chances of a summit between Washington and Pyongyang?
Yeah, at this moment, I think the possibility of a United States-North Korea summit is unlikely unless North Korea changes its attitude, especially its policy line in denuclearization. President Biden also criticized former President Trump for strengthening the Kim Jong-un's dictatorship by meeting him, who has not been proven to have a clear will to denuclearization during the 2020 campaign. In other words, President Biden expressed his willingness not to hold a political interest-only event with Kim Jong-un. At a joint press conference held after the summit, when asked if he had anything to say to Kim Jong-un, President Biden smiled and said, "Hello, said hello first, remained silent for 2 to 3 seconds, and ended up saying, period. I think the message to Pyongyang is very implicit. Sanctions on North Korea will not be lifted unless North Korea takes a credible denuclearization steps, and there will be no United States-North Korean summit in the short term.
Right. And in the meantime, Dr. Woo, President Yoon has sought for tangible assurances from his U.S. counterpart with regard to deterring North Korea. That being said, do tell us a bit about the agreements reached during the summit.
So with a series of provocations by North Korea this year, that there are a demand for the heightened sense of extended deterrence provided by the United States to the Korean Peninsula. So, for example, the last year's summit between President Moon and President Biden, there was only one sentence was dedicated about extended deterrence, which was saying that President Biden affirms the U.S. commitment to provide extended deterrence using its full range of capabilities. But this time, we go much further in detail. So the President Biden says that the extended deterrence commitment to ROK using the full range of U.S. defense capabilities, including nuclear, conventional, and the missile defense capabilities. And they also mentioned that the U.S. strategic military assets can be deployed in a timely and a coordinated manner in the case of U.S. provocations. So two countries and the leaders of two countries agreed that including these sentences in the joint statement would send a very strong message to the North Korea that two countries are very firm on providing extended deterrence to the Korean Peninsula with a strong defense posture.
Right. And staying with inter-Korean issues, Dr. Cha, there was a bit of speculation about a possible meeting between U.S. President Biden and former President Moon Jae-in ahead of the former's visit here. Now, instead of a meeting, the two held a telephone conversation, I believe, for about 10 minutes on Saturday. What are your thoughts on talk about former President Moon Jae-in possibly serving as a special envoy to North Korea?
Oh, the Korea-United States summit was held on May 20 last year. And at that time, Biden's partner was former President Moon Jae-in. Many of the details of the comprehensive strategic alliance in joint statement in this year's summit were included in the past statement. So, in my view, President Biden apparently thanked former President Moon over the phone for discussing the basis for the comprehensive strategic alliance between Seoul and Washington. However, former President Moon Jae-in's dispatchment as a special envoy is a separate matter. The United States will also doubt the effectiveness of such an alternative. In the past, former United States presidents, including President Carter and President Clinton, visited North Korea in major phases, but this has rarely led to a decisive settlement. On the contrary, there are concerns that North Korea may use Moon's dispatch of the special envoy to promote itself and use him for propaganda. Therefore, it may be considered in the future, but for now, such an alternative is, I think, nonsense.
Right. Well, moving forward then, Dr. Woo, Presidents Yoon and Biden have agreed to set up a dialogue channel for prompt communication to ensure economic security. And Mr. Yoon, of course, has also expressed support for Mr. Biden's Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which is being launched on this Monday. How do these bilateral interests look to perhaps affect South Korea's ties with its regional partners here in this part of the world?
So during the summit this time, the key word for two presidents are the economic security. So it is reported that the Presidential Secretary for Economic Security, Mr. Wang Yun-jong, had a phone conversation with his counterpart at the White House, Mr. Tarun Chabura, who is the Senior Director for the Technology and the National Security. So two governments are further discussing the areas of the collaboration and cooperation in economic security, including the resilient supply chains and also the export controls and the investment screenings. Those areas are very important for two governments to cooperate because those like export control and investment screening are the critical area for the economic security. And for the IPEF, President Yoon said during the press conference yesterday that he's going to very actively participate in the discussion because it is very important for South Korea's like future growth. So basically, his position is nothing without us, nothing about us without us. So if there is a discussion that is going to determine South Korea's fate in the future, we have to be there first to expand our influence in setting the new rules for the economic behaviors in the future. So I think it is a very good decision for South Korean government to actively seeking its opportunities to expand its influence. The question is that how we are going to work with the regional countries, and I believe that more than 10 countries in the region are going to join the IPEF this time. So I think it is better to working in the IPEF to work in those countries in the region unless we are going to be excluded. So I think it's very important time and important decision for South Korean government to take part in the IPEF this time.
Right. And Dr. Cha, despite widespread concerns, North Korea did not conduct a missile test during Mr. Biden's stay here in South Korea. Do you suppose there's been perhaps a shift in Pyongyang's strategy?
Yeah. Usually, if United States troops are stationed in the area visited by the United States President, the United States military alert in the area will be strengthened. Strategic assets such as surveillance and reconnaissance equipment from outside the region will also increase. Moreover, provocation against areas visited by the United States President can be perceived as an unacceptable high-intensity attack. The image of the villain will be further amplified in the international opinion. For this reason, North Korea has traditionally made no high-intensity provocation during the United States President's visit to the Korean Peninsula. This time it is understood in the same context. North Korea, which has continued to its high-intensity provocation and armed demonstration this year, showed such provocation as ICBM did not choose such provocation as ICBM launches and nuclear tests during the United States President's visit, which could lead to a complete collapse of the United-North Korean negotiations. However, as President Biden is now in Japan to participate in the Quad summit, the possibility of provocation cannot be ruled out in the next 1 or 2 days. The most likely scenario is to actually launch a provocation after President Biden returns home.
Right. Dr. Cha, why do you suppose that the likely scenario would be a launch after President Biden returns back to the U.S. and not during his Asia trip?
Yeah. If they take a provocation in the state of Biden's visit, Biden's statement in Asia Pacific, their ICBM launch can be as an not only as a provocation but also direct attack, because given the characteristic of ballistic missile, in some case it can threaten the aviation line of the airplane the United President stayed.
Right, I see. Valid points there, of course. And Dr. the U.S. leader's trip began with a tour of Samsung's Pyeongtaek plant, and it ended with another visit to the Air Operations Center in Asan. Do you suppose that these venues reflect his priorities, again, on economy and security?
So if we have to choose like 2 major topics for the summit this time, it was the security on the Korean Peninsula and the cooperation on the economic security front. So for visiting Samsung Pyeongtaek campus, it shows that how 2 countries are working together in securing the resilient economic supply chains in the area of semiconductor and other high-tech areas. And for visiting the KAYOK in Asan on the last day of President Biden's visit, it shows that how advanced our alliance is now. So usually when U.S. president and U.S. politicians pay a visit to South Korea, they usually visit the Pyeongtaek military base or DMZ to show them that they are dedicated to defend South Korea. But this time they show this Air Operations Center, which is about we are looking at everything that's going on North Korea. And we are ready to respond whenever North Korea is making provocations. So I think visiting the two leaders' visit to the KEOK this time sends much stronger message to North Korea than President Biden's visit to DMZ this time, because it shows how the alliance has grown over time, and President Yoon and President Biden wanted to tell the international community, including North Korea, that we are ready to fight tonight.
Right, so do you suppose they're leveraging their military alliance into a more economic partnership then?
Yes, yes.
Right. Dr. Cha, there is also some concern, though, that the Biden administration may return to a strategic patience policy with regard to North Korea, meaning that it may choose to ignore Pyongyang until the regime decides to talk. What is your outlook? And do you believe the Yoon administration perhaps should seek to actively address the current standoff on the Korean peninsula?
Yeah, strategic patience during the Obama administration is based on the notion that the United States does not cling to dialogue or negotiations with North Korea until Pyongyang chooses a clear change in its line, including the Pyongyang's demand of negotiation or talk, and the sincere effort for denuclearization. Yep. Considering North Korea's strategic deception and the breach of several promises, which has been shown in the United States-North Korea negotiations, this line certainly has its own validity. However, the decisive problem with the strategic patience was that it eventually gave North Korea time to further develop and deepen its nuclear capabilities. In this regard, even if the Biden administration chooses such strategic patience version 2.0, the key is by what means it will pressure North Korea or bring it to the negotiation table. The fact that South Korea and the United States have strengthened their response and the deterrence capabilities against North Korea's nuclear weapon by elaborating their commitment to the extended deterrence is one of the good cases of the effective means of the, pressing North Korea. Yep, this means is positive in terms of increasing the means to move North Korea. There should be more of these means in the future, I think.
Right, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. In the meantime, I believe, Doctor, you have a few final words you'd like to add to that.
Yeah, if I add a little more on top of what Dr. Cha just mentioned, it's not just about defense posture that two leaders agreed to enhance. Both leaders said that they are open to the dialogue with the DPRK, and also they are going to provide humanitarian assistance if DPRK is going to accept, regardless any political fluctuations on Korean Peninsula. So I think it's not only the defense posture that they were talking about during the summit, but it's the possibility of having dialogue and providing humanitarian assistance to DPRK. So I think now the ball is in DPRK's court.
Right. North Korea has yet to respond to calls for assistance with regard to medical assistance for the fever cases that they've been having. All right, Doctor Woo, as always, thank you very much for your thoughts. And Dr. Cha, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you.